As we said, we've been working on this for a very long time, ever since the plant closing back in 1998, and we're just thrilled to be able to see this come to fruition and to turn this property over to the city and have it be used by the community. Well, there's been a lot of intricacies in the deal. We had to record a uniform environmental covenant on the property. We had to modify our hazardous waste permit so that the city would not take possession of property that was covered by a hazardous waste permit. And there was a lot of legal back and forth between GE and the city, and EPD had a hand in what the allowable uses would be for the property. You can see commercial use, you can see recreational use. You won't see a gas station or a dry cleaner or anything that might have some chemicals that could impact the environment. You won't see any residential or daycare. I would say that the Georgia EPD has carefully reviewed all the data that was generated. We did a very rigorous sampling program over the entire parcel, and EPD has reviewed all that data and said that it meets the standards for commercial or recreational use.
Obviously, huge hurdle to get to this day to where we actually take possession of the 123 acres. It's been a long time in the works, and so as we share today, going back to 2010, 2011, where we really got down into the weeds of detail and doing some conceptual planning, and really the gist of that plan is predominantly recreation. There is some out parcel opportunity, about 13 acres on the northwest corner, that would conceivably be good potential use for commercial. And so you could have commercial out parcel use. But again, the lion's share of the acreage would be dedicated towards recreation. And so that's where we left off in our planning process. And so the question now, do we start where we left off? Do we want to go back to the drawing board, et cetera? And so those are some of the questions in the coming days and weeks that we will be thinking about internally. So one of the things we'll be looking at is how might we start using the property. One of the things we talked about earlier today was the ability to go in and develop some trails. And so similar to how the Jackson Hill property has been developed with a trail network, there's very limited cost, and in fact with a partnership with TRED, where you had a group of volunteers going out and doing a good bit of the labor, it certainly makes for a beautiful public-private partnership. And so that may be a way for us to more quickly take advantage of the recreation. The biggest issue is simply going to be budget. How are we going to pay for any capital improvements? And so, if we decide to go out and do active recreation, to where what you saw is some of the ball fields. Of course, now that we have a new relationship with Parks and Recreation, with the city and the county recreation agreement, obviously that would be something that we would work towards, and that would take a little time, in addition to just the funding aspect of it. It's just part of the agreement and the long-term maintenance and how's it going to be operated.
You mentioned funding. Is SPLOST a possibility for this?
I would think, as we have funded a good bit of recreation historically in SPLOST, that could be something to be considered at a future date. All right. I would mention on the northwest